Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I really don't make videos very often. I just don't know what I'm doing here. I didn't even, this looks like a setup. I just legitimately sat down next to my guitar on the floor. I've been scrambling around looking for things to do that could be helpful, and so I thought, among other things, I might actually make a video. A, because I think we could use a little bit more face-to-face connection, and B, we're just a bit overwhelmed with words right now, right? So I just figure more people will watch it if it's a video. So here I am in the flesh, despite my hesitance to be in front of the camera. So yeah, I want to talk about 3 things today. Basically, I've got 3 ideas of things that I think we could all do right now in the immediate to be incredibly helpful in this big hot mess that we find ourselves in. So, 1. Please contact your friends. Please send them a text message. Please check on them, see how they are. Just tell them you're thinking of them at the very least. Do they need anything? I promise you they need this. I can tell you I have received about, I don't know why I'm doing the maths. I've received 3 messages, about 3 messages, checking on me to see whether I'm okay. I've got plenty of people in my life who I know would be thinking about me, who would be wondering if I'm okay. I've got plenty of people in my life who love me. I don't have any doubt about that. So only getting 3 messages, that's okay, that's fine. But what that's showing me is that it's probably also going on in a lot of other people's lives. So please just send a message to let them know. People are particularly isolated right now. We need it more than ever. And also I might recommend, take that friend that you often go to in your time of need, the one that you often think is the strongest and probably doesn't need it. Please message that person, because I promise you they need it, and I promise you they're the ones who are going to be asked the least, because people just assume that they're okay. Please don't assume. Please don't assume. Please just check. Number 2, if you have the time and the space, because let's face it, we're all isolated. One thing about fostering a kitten or a puppy, it's only a short-term thing, and I promise you they will give you such a purity of purpose and a recalibration of soul that can simply only come from selflessly taking responsibility for the well-being of something so completely innocent and grateful. And frankly, this match just makes sense, right? We have an overwhelm of animal homelessness. We've got plenty of baby animals. They're in cages. They're desperately in need of some love. We've got a bit of time on our hands. We could use the distraction. We could take our focus off all of this virus business and just do something a little bit more heart-centered. So if we can make this match work, perfect. Fuck what the landlord says. It's only temporary. Sorry to any landlords out there. If you can't understand, if you can, it would be just a beautiful, selfless, lovely, wonderful, kind, caring thing to do. And if you haven't thought of it already, I'm going to put some links down below. Have a YouTube of me. I'm going to put some links down below of some rescue organisations who would absolutely love that kind of support. If even a tiny fraction of us could do that, that would be life-changing for them. Number 3, I want to talk very briefly, and I do have a point, so bear with me, about Scott Morrison's comments on the hoarding being un-Australian. Now, I know going to the supermarket right now, guys, is incredibly frustrating for all of us, but I've also heard a lot of people jump on the bandwagon, throwing around the term selfish, etc., etc. I think what that is doing, it's not particularly helpful for starters, but I think let's just break it down a little bit. I think what Scott Morrison is failing to see is that there's a whole sea of people basically showing they don't believe they have a system of government that is going to support them. So I think his comments about that being un-Australian are misplaced. They're showing something very clearly. They do not feel supported. And I think they've got good reason to feel that way, guys. We live in a very individualistic, very capitalistic society, particularly in Sydney. Let's face it, we can often get so in our own heads trying to get our own things done that it does feel a little bit like every man for themselves. So let's not jump on that bandwagon. Let's just dig a little deeper and see what it is that's really actually going on. People feeling unsupported. And just as a side, I might actually say, I've seen heaps of Australianisms and heaps of Australians doing beautiful, lovely, supportive things. But he doesn't mention that, but anyway, whatever. So here's what I think we're going to do. We're going to take that feeling or that lack of feeling of support And we're going to counterbalance that with our own support, right? And this is what we're going to do. We're going to fucking viralize it. Sorry, I got interrupted then. So, we are all behind the numbers of exponential growth by now with this virus, right? So by now, we all know that every one person can actually infect 2.5 people. So that gets passed along 10 times and you've basically infected 59,000 people or thereabouts, right? That's the math. So if that can apply to a virus, that can simply apply to anything else. So here's what we're going to do. And I really, really want us to do this. I've already started. So I want you to right now offer immediate, relevant, tangible support to your direct neighbour. Your neighbour, not your friends, right? Your friends are here, everyone's disparate, so you can still feel isolated. But if you do that for your immediate neighbour, what that does is that creates a weave, right? It creates a fabric, and that fabric builds and builds and builds, and it strengthens and strengthens. And if everybody does it for their direct neighbour, it includes everybody. Everybody does it. Pass it on. Get your neighbour to do the same thing. Pass it on. If one person does this to 2.5 of their neighbours, you can, if that continues, effectively impact in a very helpful, useful, positive way 59,000 people. This is pretty amazing. Like, those numbers are pretty amazing. I actually did this just yesterday with my neighbour, right? With toilet paper. I mean, how cliche, right? But they were actually completely out of toilet paper. And they're like, no, we'll be fine. But they weren't really fine. It's nowhere. So I kind of insisted. I made them take it. It was weird. It was awkward. I have to admit, it was awkward. But later, they came back and they went, thank you for that. That was actually really kind. And so, goddamn, that actually felt so good. It felt really soulful for starters, but just really empowering. It made me realize that the power of the tiniest gesture to your direct neighbor actually makes people around them feel as though they have support. So if you think that person and that person have got my back, if I need something, then they'll have it for me. Just think about that. That immediately eases your nervous system. It's not, I'll call my friend for, oh, but they're so far away. It's like, I can go to my neighbour and they actually help me. And I find most people actually want to help their neighbour. So let's not believe this bullshit of that un-Australianism, right? Because it's out there and it's working already. So let's do this. If we do this, 1, contact your friends. 2, foster a kitten or a puppy. I'm sorry, that's a shameless plug, but I just don't care. And 3, if you can give immediate, relevant and tangible support to your neighbour, to 2.5 of your neighbours, we can simply pandemicise the fuck out of kindness. And actually, let me say one more thing before I go. I'm so sorry, this video is really long. I'm always looking for systemic shifts, right? And I know that this is a big hot mess, and I know that this isn't going to entirely flip this situation. I'm in the arts, I'm smashed out there, right, with everybody else. But what this will do is it just builds this incredible sense of collective conscious. So I have to say, this is probably the very first time I've ever experienced in my lifetime individuals focusing on and working to what is good for the whole. So think about that. We live in a really individualistic place. We're all pursuing our own things, but these are our baby steps into us actually thinking about what is best for the whole. We are stumbling into a collective conscious way of thinking, and this is very exciting. So let's just do what we can. Let's just take every step we can, every single step we can in that direction, despite the challenges we're facing, which just makes it all the more powerful and all the more meaningful and makes us all the more resilient as a bonded group. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for hanging in there. I really miss hugs. I can't wait to see a bunch of you and just give you enormous hugs. Thinking of you, miss you. Oh, I got another message. Oh, maybe I got 4 messages. I'm just going to return to playing my guitar that I clearly prepared earlier. Maybe I should stop making videos now. Peace out, guys. Love you. Hashtag pandemicise the fuck out of kindness.